Hello, welcome to another edition of the Mike Zielinski Show. I'm Mike Zielinski. I'm honored today to have as my guest Dr. Susan Looney, who has been the president of Reading Area Community College since July 1st. So how's it going so far, Susan?
It's going fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, your story is an interesting story, to say the least. I think anybody who rises to the top to become a college president has an interesting story, but your backstory, you were a champion harness racing driver. You dropped out of, you were so good at it, you dropped out of high school when you were 16 to turn pro. You had been a driver since the age of 12.
Correct.
And I don't blame you. If, you know, school must have really been paled in comparison to the excitement of doing this, and your family was in, your grandparents are breeders and trainers, your mother was a driver, you said she was the first female to win at the Meadowlands.
Absolutely, yes.
So it was a natural for you, right?
It was. In fact, I've shared this story briefly with some close friends, but my mother said that when I was a baby that I cried all the time, and they couldn't find anything that would comfort me.
One of those kids, huh?
I was. And she said one day, it was a cold afternoon, that my grandfather wrapped me up in a horse blanket and put me on his lap and went out to jog a horse, and I stopped crying. And she said, we found something that Susan likes to do. Oh,
boy, that's interesting.
So before I could even remember, it was something that I just, I was very comfortable in, and it was just, it was the family business.
And you excelled at it, too.
I
mean,
did.
you won a lot of races.
At the age of 12, which is the youngest that you can drive as an amateur, I was driving every Sunday at Johnson Park in New Jersey, or Cowtown in New Jersey. It was just a little amateur fair grounds, but it was great fun. And gosh, I was probably the person who won the awards every single year for the best driver.
Wow.
As an amateur until I was 16, which professionally, according to the United States Trotting Association, is the age you can turn professional. So the day I was 16, I had my provisional license, which you have to have generally for a year until you become a full-pledged professional, and I actually was able to go from provisional to full professional within 6 months. I just had the time, of my life. It was great.
Until.
Well, let me share a little bit that during that time I was very fortunate. It was obviously the family business. The family was so supportive of me. And
even dropping out of high school?
Absolutely.
They were?
They were. They knew this was what I was going to do. And they were supportive of it. Was my grandfather's stable, who would send myself, usually with my mother and my grandmother, to either Pocono Downs or to Yonkers or Freehold Raceway with a stable of horses. And the day I was 16, signed myself out at school and headed to Pocono Downs with a barn full of horses, and was the Rookie of the Year that year, and also was the youngest driver to win a race at the Meadowlands that same year.
Oh, congratulations.
So at 16, I was just on fire. I was in Sports Illustrated. I was on, making New York news because the Meadowlands.
Why were you so good?
Closed. That's an excellent question. I think it was just in my blood. I could really sense the feel for a horse. Usually it's in the hands because of the difference being a driver versus a jockey. And I could get the most out of a horse. And it also was some strategy in knowing, what you had and what you didn't have with the horse in front of you.
And then you had an accident.
I did in 1988 at the Meadowlands. I had an accident. And
you were 20 at the time.
I was, and I was very fortunate. I walked away, but it was a real tap on the shoulder to think that, did I really want to be doing this at 40 or 50? And
when you can be a college president at 50, right?
At the time, that wasn't on the charts, but absolutely. And I had received my GED since the time I had dropped out of school, which was a fairly easy thing for me to do. And during that time frame after the accident, I contemplated opportunities of what else I should do as a backup plan. And of course, having no SAT scores, having terrible grades in high school because I didn't fit in, I didn't like it.
You didn't care.
I didn't care. I finally got the courage up to pull into my local community college, which was in New Jersey. And I do remember being terrified and not knowing what to expect, not even realizing that they accepted everyone. walking in extremely nervous. And
You drove around the parking lot
I
a
did,
little
3
bit.
times. It was a great big oval.
I mean, here you were this, I mean, it took a lot of courage to be a harness racing driver on a big stage, and now you're too nervous to walk into a community college.
Actually, it took much more courage to walk into my
Really?
local community college than it ever did to drive a horse.
But you walked in, thank God, and it's been
Thank gosh.
transformative.
Oh my gosh, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was so fortunate that the faculty and staff, very similar to what we have at Reading Area Community College, were just wonderful.
This was in Delaware?
This was in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
In Monmouth County, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I just, within months, started obtaining my confidence that I was able to learn and that I could obtain this knowledge and feel good about myself. And I remember
Amazing.
the goal was for me to, in my mind, to just get an associate's degree, probably in bookkeeping. I liked numbers, or and then go get a job. And I remember one of my closest faculty members said to me, "Well, you're going to get a bachelor's degree, right?" Honestly, because there was no Google at the time, I didn't know what that was. I went to the library and looked it up. I had no idea what a bachelor's degree was. So thankfully, again, because of a great support system within the institution, which is exactly what we have at RACC, I was able to grow, gain my confidence, and continued on for a bachelor's in business, a master's in business, a law degree, and a doctorate in education.
That's amazing.
And I can tell you, I have 1 degree hanging on my wall, and I have many degrees.
It's community college?
It's the only one. I hang up my associate's degree in my office because it's the one I worked the hardest for and the one I'm most proud of.
Why, because you did work for the Department of Defense briefly,
I
right?
did.
But other than that, you have, because you were so transformed by your community college experience, your whole academic life has been working at various community colleges as you moved up the ranks. Why the law degree?
The law degree was at a time where I wasn't quite sure. I was teaching as an adjunct, actually, at my local community college, and knew that having a master's was probably not going to be enough for me to become a full-time faculty member. And I knew that full-time faculty teaching positions were not easy to come by. They were very, they're very limited.
So you got good at backup plans.
I did. I had a good backup plan just in case things didn't work out.
Did you take the bar and practice?
I did. I am a licensed attorney in Arizona.
Okay.
I don't practice. I never did practice, but I keep my license.
If you get your PA license, RACC won't need a counselor, right?
Oh, we love our general counselors.
So anyway, and then you were the provost at RACC for, 3 years before you became president?
I was hired in September of 2014 as Dean of Instruction, and within a short period of time, by July of 2015, I was Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost.
Wow.
So almost 3 years in that role.
Now, obviously, you have a very tough act to follow. Dr. Anna White was a beloved president at RACC. I'm not going to go through all her accomplishments because I really want to get into what you're about.
Sure.
But obviously, they were vast, and it was really, I mean, she started all those collaboration with a lot of other four-year universities, whatever. So do you feel pressure following her? I know you're good friends. Does that ease the pressure? Or?
It does. She has set the bar very high. She has been a wonderful mentor, a friend, but definitely someone who I've learned from, and definitely will be a tough act to follow, but I'm up for the challenge.
Now, tell us about, I understand that I guess you specialize in really focusing on students because of your past history, and I guess for RACC, tell us about your vision and the 4-part mission of community colleges.
Sure. Well, the 4-part mission is really, I consider them hallmarks. It's access, opportunity, excellence, and hope. And I'll explain briefly each point. So the access is the general mission of any community college. We're an open institution. We welcome everyone.
You have to be a high school graduate, though, right?
Yes, but we also have the non-credit side of the house where we have GEDs. We actually will help students obtain their GED if they come to us without that. So we have that service as well. So access to everyone, opportunity that if they walk through the doors of Reading Area Community College, a student can potentially change their life. excellence, excellence in the classroom, excellence in the teaching, excellent in the support staff. So excellence in the highest quality of education that can be obtained. And then probably to me the most important of those four, while they're all critical, is hope. We offer hope where in some cases a student might not have any other alternative. We offer hope to potentially change their life for the positive.
Do you have some students who may come just because they don't know what else to do and they can't get a job? And I guess some of them don't make it, but some of them do, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have students who come because they are not sure what they want to do, and what a great place to test the waters to see if there's a certain area of interest that they like. Not uncommon for students to do that at the four-year institutions as well, not always be sure of what they're interested in.
Yeah.
But we have
It's tough to know when you're young.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we've got students who are returning adults who aren't sure, but we're there to help guide them, to help counsel and advise, and try to help them find their passion.
What is the enrollment like at RACC? It's a pretty big number, isn't it?
Approximately 4,000.
Yeah. Well, that for a community college, that's a nice number. Or?
That is a nice number.
Yeah. So you want to grow that? Is that one of your goals?
Growth is always good.
And also, the other goal with the students is to increase them completing the 2 years?
Absolutely. So I'd like to continue to focus, and we have done, and I say we because I have a wonderful, wonderful team. Nobody does any of this alone. It is a complete team effort in working with our students and making sure that we are at the top of our game for every single thing we offer. But it is about student success. And student success can be looked at as retention. Do they come back the following semester? It can be looked at as, did they accomplish their goal? Many students would come to a community college and really only want to get a few credits, the first 30 credits, the first 2 years, and then continue. In my opinion, of course, they should start with us and then they can go anywhere. But many students want workforce training as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, economically, it makes sense to go to community college and transfer because you still have that degree from Albright or Kutztown or from
Absolutely.
But you didn't spend as much money the first 2 years, you know?
Yep. And our classes transfer. That's a really big, I want to say it's not a huge misconception, but it's sometimes a misconception that parents or students don't realize that our English composition will transfer to other four-year institutions. Our general education courses, we have articulation agreements just for that, to make sure that there is a seamless transfer for our students who start at RACC and then go anywhere they'd like.
I'm assuming since it's a community college, the bulk of your enrollment students come from the community, from Bucks County.
Yes, the large majority of our students.
Including a fair amount from the city of Reading.
Absolutely.
So what about, do you have bilingual courses, or how does that work?
We have a very strong non-credit English as a second language program, and then we also have on the credit side, which is similar to our developmental courses, our remedial courses that get students who come in who need a little more help with English as a second language to get up to college level. We have that as well. So we have a lot of support in place.
Yeah. It sounds like the perfect petri dish for a student to go to acquire the skills to pursue a college education. I think one of the biggest, obviously if that isn't a laboratory goal in itself, what you do with developing students as students is the workforce development, because there are a lot. Well, first of all, sometimes, and I had this discussion with Jackie Federer of Albright College, the value of a liberal arts degree, but sometimes you can major in liberal arts, but you can make a lot more money if you have a technical job, but there's a lot of skills involved with that, a lot of math, a lot of aptitude, and that's what RACC does, and other community colleges provide those skills, right?
Yes, we do, and we do a wonderful job at it. And when we talk workforce, that certainly highlights the Schmidt Training Center, which is outstanding with our mechatronics program and our machine tool, and then all of our incumbent worker training that we offer to local manufacturers throughout the region. So that is a critical aspect, but we also have certificate programs and areas where students can simply get not necessarily a degree, but a certificate so they can go out and get a very well-paying job very quickly.
Or is there too much parental or societal emphasis on getting a professional job, so to speak, white-collar job, and when in fact there's so many wonderful opportunities in the industry?
I think it's a mix, and I think it's a personal decision that parents and students have to make. There's certainly still, I would never say, there's still strong value in a liberal arts education, but
I'm not saying there's not.
Extremely strong value in having skills where you can immediately go out and get in the workforce. And we offer both, which is a really unique mission as a community college, that we offer the general education, but then very specific focus on workforce education.
In both these areas, enrollment, student development, and workforce, are you going to be doing anything differently than under Dr. Weiss, or what's your vision?
Well, I see a three-part vision in my mind, which we're still working on the strategic plan, which will be rolled out next year for another 5 years. And but in general pictures, I've got student success, which is always at the forefront of what we do, and that includes graduation rates, increasing graduation rates, increasing retention rates.
What are they now, offhand? I mean, you don't have to quote a ballpark.
Right. They could be higher. We are compared to what four-year institutions are compared to, so the number is not probably...
That's not fair.
It's not quite fair, because not every student comes to a community college to get a degree. Sometimes they actually, their intention is to come and just get a few classes under their belt to transfer, or just to come to get a few classes and get a promotion at work. So those are still successes in my mind. They're just not
definitely. Because you fulfill their needs.
Right, exactly. And if we do that, then I consider that success. And that's what we're all about. We're here to help students become whatever they'd like to be.
So do you have any specific, well, you're working on a strategic plan, but I guess there are some strategies to provide even more support?
More support, continuously. The support for students is essential, and that can come in all different types of forms. That doesn't just have to be tutoring or advising. That can be very holistic in many cases. The other area, of course, is the focus on workforce. It is the national agenda, and I'm proud to say that in Berks County, people look to RACC as, how are you going to make sure you have a well-trained, highly skilled future workforce ready to take the places of the individuals who are getting ready to retire?
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And I know it's a major concern.
It is a major concern.
I know it's a major concern of Randy Pierce of the Greater Reading, whatever their name is now, Alliance, Chamber, whatever. But because, I mean, that's in the community's best interest.
And we can be nimble, and that's the beauty of a community college, especially when we're thinking about workforce development training. We can be very quick. We can turn around a curriculum very, very quickly to meet the needs of the employers.
Now, where do you recruit faculty to teach those skills?
Actually, we recruit nationwide.
Okay.
When we have faculty positions open, we generally do a nationwide search, and we pick the best of the best. For the workforce training, so many of them are not retired, but have worked in industry, have worked on the floor, have actually been there, especially
which I would think would be essential. Yeah,
absolutely. So
you want more than just an academic person there, right? Not there's anything wrong with being academic.
Different skill sets, absolutely, for what we're doing in the Schmidt Training Center versus what we're doing in our English composition courses.
And you have a third goal, too.
I do, and we're actually already moving toward that. It's, in my opinion, I'd like to be able to showcase and tell the great story of what our faculty and staff are doing at Reading Area Community College. And one thing that has just recently come up is that we applied to showcase all the great things we're doing in our English as a second language program, and the strong retention rate and the strong success rate of our students who are in that program. Out of 150 applicants, we've just received notice that we're one of 5 finalists for a nationwide award. We will know probably next month sometime where we where we land in those top 5.
Oh, congratulations.
So
Yeah.
we're proud of that, and we want to be able to showcase that.
You've had success, RACC, obviously getting the faculty members that you'd like, and you do it nationwide. And they don't have a problem moving to Reading. You know, there is because sometimes Reading, because of certain areas of the city, has a bad reputation, unfortunately. Is that a challenge for you guys, or?
It has not been since in my short tenure at RACC. It's not been.
Because there's so many wonderful things about this location. The affordable housing,
my goodness.
The proximity to a lot of metropolitan areas. You know.
I think it's perfect. I love it here.
Well, it's raining too much these days, but
Except for the rain, and we're a little bit worried about the river, but otherwise.
Oh yeah.
It is a beautiful area. It is a wonderful place to have a family, have a home, and of course, I think it really says something, the fact that there are 5 higher education institutions right in Berks County.
What an asset that is for Berks County.
Beautiful asset.
And you have relations with all of them?
We do. We have strong partnerships.
Including Penn State Berks?
Absolutely. We have very strong partnerships. And in this time, in my personal opinion, partnerships is how we're all going to be successful. And I truly value our partnerships with the other institutions.
Now, one of the jobs for a college president, and I assume it's the same for community colleges, fundraising, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't study fundraising, though, when you're getting all these degrees,
You don't. We actually have just previously, under Dr. White's, wrapped up a capital campaign for this renovation of our science labs, which was needed. They were quite old, and so we've been successful. We obviously have wonderful friends in the community who support.
There have been a lot of.
There are.
Yeah.
In fact, I've never worked at any institution where the community college has so many friends who want to support it and see great things come from it.
But are they tracking the older generation, and would you think that would be replenished by some younger benefactors ongoing?
I certainly hope so. That's certainly part of my role, as well as with my team, to cultivate those relationships. And I know we have a great story to tell. And
I know Marvin Miller has been very helpful.
Oh, he's been wonderful. Very, very generous.
One of your predecessors, Gus Zogas, used to be on the board of BCTV.
Oh, really?
And when I was board president, and I used to say to him, "Can you get Marlon to give us some money?" And he says, "I'm not asking him for any more. I asked him a lot for RACC," you know. And so,
well, we've had wonderful friends, and we truly value and appreciate all.
And I'm glad
that
they
they've
appreciate, because they appreciate what you do and the importance of the community. They're not just doing it to be nice people, because they recognize the value.
Yeah, and we do. We have a great story, and we are back to those 4 hallmarks: access, opportunity, excellence, and hope. It just goes so much to changing lives. And I tell my team all the time that we feel so blessed that we get to do something we love every day and have a small part in changing somebody's life for the positive.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we get up every morning and go to work. It's just great.
It's probably as much of a rush for you as harness racing was
really
when you were a
is.
teenager.
It really is. I don't think anyone could potentially relate to that because of the competition of a 2-minute race, but it is just fabulous. I'm just so honored.
So, I mean, your passion that you have and just telling your story, that's probably the key when you're talking to potential benefactors, right?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that? You just call them up on the phone, or, you know, networking, or?
It's relationships. I mean, it's building relationships. It's not something I picture picking up the phone on a cold call and expecting someone
No one wants to cold call.
expecting someone to, you know,
Yeah.
recognize and appreciate what we do, but it's over time, and again, showcasing the great things we do, telling our story, having our students' stories out there, because they're our biggest success. When our students are successful, we're successful.
And then you can hit them up for money, right, later on? Do you guys do that?
No, we're a soft touch. We're a soft touch on the students because we recognize so many of them are, they have their own to deal with right now.
Yeah, my one son graduated from Villanova, and they must. I can't believe they think a Villanova grad would live at home 20 years later. But we still get mail from Villanova addressed to him asking for money. And, I joke with my wife, we went to Temple. We're not going to give Villanova any more of our money. We already gave them a lot.
That's great.
But there's a resource for you, though, if you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Do you track graduate success stories that you can help market?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, more now than ever, and we have such great success stories to tell. This year we had the top Phi Theta Kappa, which is the International Honor Society for two-year colleges, the top student in the state out of all the Phi Theta Kappa chapters.
Really?
So that was a great story. She has gone on.
I was going to ask, where did she go?
She ended up going to Penn State Berks on a full scholarship called the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship, which gives her 3 more years to accomplish both her bachelor's and master's if she wishes.
Oh, wow.
Totally transformed her life. She's a working mom, 2 children, a family, a husband, a mother-in-law.
Oh, that's awesome.
Who's very supportive, and RACC literally changed her life for the positive. And she's been a recipient of some scholarships to help her when she first got here. But then she just on her own hard work for getting great grades and giving back through service at the community college, she's just skyrocketed. So yeah, that's just one of many success stories.
I wish we could share more, but we're out of time. But thank you for transforming lives and for what you do for our community, and congratulations.
Thank you.
You've gone a long way in the last 30 years. For now, this is Mike Zielinski saying goodbye.